Blah, blah, blah. Bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dub it. Cause bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection. I summon and dub it. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something? Don't hang with a nigga who lying for nothing. I see that we different, you riding, I double. I don't do discussions on bragging about hundreds. Don't go to your places, I know that they sunken. Don't call me your brother, I barely could trust you. I talked to a shorty, she bagging the bugging. And I'ma need all of my dollars on corporate, so hand me the money, I divvy the pie. I'ma give all of my people a portion to build them a fortune on flipping the ride. I can't be mixy when iffy the vibe. And 40 on 50 is really the time. Why are you all on my phone like you want me? Like you wasn't pushing the kid to the side. I don't know if you bitches are thinking I'm blind. Cross on my crosses and dot on my eyes. Done with your efforts, I'm dealing with pressures. I know it's a lesson, that's word of the wise. Dubbing the mixes I'm mixing, I know I've been missing. I needed some personal time. Fuck all the pictures, dimensions. I don't with your digits, I mean it, I'm staying inside. Cause bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it.
What's up, guys? I'm finally getting started. This is Will Burb, the Cold Beer Confessional. Let's see, this is episode 17, I believe. That's 17 of these, not counting the live show that we did with the protesters. Looks like my mic's working. I got a new song going. It was not the clean version, even though it was supposed to be. Oh well, if you heard a bad word, I apologize. It's not like we're monetized anyways. So if you guys didn't get to see the live show, I went out with the protesters. I was on the street, from the show we had Friday. They had a protest going on Sunday. Hell, it might have worked. I'm not positive, but, the very next day, the governor announced that he's opening Tennessee at the end of April. So you guys tell me, there's a protest. It would seem that the state of Tennessee is opening back up. What do you think, Chad? Do you think they did their job? Do you think he was scared of that convoy coming down there? I don't know, but weird coincidence, huh? If you ask me, it was a very strange coincidence. But we did get out there. We did get to see the show. If you haven't seen that video, it is on the YouTube channel. I think the entire thing's on my Facebook too. It was a weird show. There was so much delay in it and in the chat and stuff. I couldn't even see what I was recording, but it go well, and I really enjoyed it. And like I said, let's look up that announcement. So the state of Tennessee is going to be reopening. Oh, here we go. Governor Lee announces safer-at-home order will expire April 30th. Tennessee begins phased reopening next week. This was on the president's recommendations. I believe those recommendations went out on his not today's briefing, but the last briefing he had in Nashville, Tennessee. Today, Governor Bill Lee announced the order for Tennesseans to remain at home will expire on April 30th. That's in 10 days, with the vast majority of businesses in 89 counties being allowed to reopen on May 1st. Our economic recovery group is working with industry leaders around the dock, or around the, clearly says dock, but I'm assuming they meant clock, around the clock, so that some businesses can open as soon as Monday, April 27th, said Governor Lee. These businesses will open according to specific guidance that will provide in accordance with state and national experts in both medicine and business. The Lee administration will work with Shelby, Madison, Davidson, Hamilton, Knox, and Sullivan counties and their health departments as they plan their own reopen strategies. While not extending the Safer at Home order past the end of April, we are working directly with our major metropolitan areas to ensure that they are in a position to reopen as soon and as safely as possible. Said Lee, social distancing works, and as we open up our economy, it'll be more important than ever that we keep social distancing as lives and livelihoods depend on it. The Economic Recovery Group, ERG, composed of 30 leaders from the public and private sector, is crafting guidance to assist businesses in safe reopening. The industry representatives participating in the ERG collectively represent over 140,000 Tennessee businesses that employ over 2.5 million Tennesseans. More information is available here. So I guess it's gonna be opening back up. The protesters did their job on the street corner. Someone said, "I wonder if we'll see a rise in cases." I don't know, honestly. I think if you're sick or you're prone to have a strong adverse reaction to coronavirus, then you probably should stay home. I think if you're healthy, you're young, you're virile, you can get out there and go back to work. I know some people aren't going to believe that way, but maybe a staged rollout or a stage open up would work better. Yeah, I saw that the basically like the Michigan governor. Seems like she's all against the reopening. I know my mic cut out there for a second. Seems like she's all against the reopening, but it allows to open on county by county for specific numbers. So if you live in a county that's not hit, I know Michigan's hit bad, but if you live in a county that's not hit bad, then you ought to be able to go back to work. But it seems like she's keeping the whole state locked down, from what I understand. I did actually look into it for a few minutes, because Josh, I would think that if you lived in one of the better counties, it would be all right to go to work, right? We don't want travel to and from the highly infected counties, but if you live in the county and work in if you live in a county and work in a county that hasn't been hit that hard, I would assume that you could go into work, leave work, come back to work, whatever you got going on. I don't know. Josh, has Whitmer announced any type of plan for opening back up, or is it just like, because you guys protested, we're going to lock it down even longer? What's she saying on the news? Oh, I didn't even get to tell you the reason I was late. Actually, let me show you. So I'm going to simulate a tip. Let's see what I got. Let's see. Basically now, if you leave a tip with a custom message on the tip page, so let's see, $1. But if you leave a tip and you actually fill out the little message, not only should it appear on screen like it has been, but it also tip out. Let's see if it works. So if you really want to call me out, or tell somebody else in chat that they're a dick all you got to do is go to the tip page, put in a message, and send it, and it should read it out. Let's see if this works.
It's not racist at all. No, not at all. It comes from China.
Sorry, the further north you go, the less cases, more rural. I agree, you know, some people aren't following the precautions already. Doing. So I guess Michigan's not opening up. I don't know if that different or not. Anyways, we'll get it working. I'll work on it when I'm not opening the show, I guess. But you should be able to send in the tip, and it actually reads the tip on screen as like a text to speech deal, and it'll also have the Donald Trump thing, but it'll read the tip as well. But the title of the show is I think it was handling the Rona. So it's the handling of the coronavirus and how it's been, how everything's been going, I guess. There's the spin on it currently is how bad that all the very second delay on it, so we got time for Donald Trump to talk. Those settings. Now let's emulate an event. Tip event. Alright, let's see if this one. Anyways, we're gonna while I'm working this out, we're gonna be talking about what does chat think. Do you think Donald Trump done a good job handling the coronavirus as he gathered information? You think he's been too slow, like the media's trying to spin it? Think we should have been making tests earlier or ventilators earlier, or the Defense Act should have been in place earlier? What do you think? And we're going to dive into some videos and try to I don't know if we're going to dispel it, but we're just going to talk about both sides. So what do you think about Donald Trump's handling of the coronavirus so far? Overall good, overall bad. What do you think? All right, let's see.
It's not racist at all. Not at all. It comes from China.
The Michigan Governor is CUNT.
All right, so I had a repeat through it, but that's it. Basically, it will actually read your donation now. I finally got it fixed. That's everything that was going on. I agree with Real Mariah. Okay, let's read what happened. No update, just said keep doing what you're doing. I agree, Pam. You know, some dumbasses aren't following precautions already. Sorry, further north you go, the less cases, more rural. It works. I feel like he's done pretty good from what I know. How do you actually judge it? No opinion. Overall good. I agree with Real Mariah. So that's I kind of fall in the same case as you, Josh. How do you actually judge what's going on, right? So could it have been done better? So if we would have mitigated earlier, Could that have saved lives and potentially cases? Yeah, but we could have been locked down from 10 years ago, right? How early is too early? When do you have enough information to make the call to say we're locking it down, we're shutting it all down? It's too bad. We're also going to talk about the stuff that he was tweeting about, don't worry, it's going to be gone, it's going to be all right, everything's fine. So we're going to talk about that. Some people say, you were telling Americans not to worry, and clearly they should have been worried. And some people were saying, look, he was trying to not cause mass panic, to send the markets into free fall, to send people out, buying out grocery stores, like is what happened when eventually there did have to be some issues brought up and some stuff going on. So it is what it is, but we're gonna look at everybody else's opinion today, I guess. Back and forth, see what's going on. It'll basically be all the media versus the right-wing media, and back and forth, and how everything lines up there, I guess. I don't know. It's weird how the same news story has such weird spins on it. Anyways, let's check out the timeline right quick. This is the video I watched earlier. Oh, that's Channel 4 News. I thought I watched it from CNN, but still, we'll check it out.
If you ever buy anything from Apple, you should use WikiBuy. It's a browser extension that automatically compares Amazon's prices to other sellers to see if there's a better price out there. It includes tax.
Hold on just a second. I think there's an echo. Let's try that. That's my mic. Mic's good. Let's try playing the video.
We have very little problem in this country at this moment. 5.
When you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to 0. And I just see you right now, it's about 149 cases.
We pretty much shut it down, coming in from China.
It will go away, just stay calm.
I am officially declaring a national emergency.
We have a problem that a month ago nobody ever thought about.
A lot of people think that goes away in April.
But they think August, could be July, could be longer than that.
And I haven't touched my face in weeks. In weeks. Now we're working very strongly with China on the coronavirus. That's a new thing that a lot of people are talking about. Hopefully it won't be as bad as some people think it could be, but we're working very closely with them and with a lot of other people in a lot of other countries, and we think we have it very well under control. We have very little problem in this country at this moment. 5.
How concerned are you?
Well, we pretty much shut it down, coming in from China. We have a tremendous relationship with China, which is a very positive thing. Getting along with China, getting along with Russia, getting along with...
Have you offered the Chinese president help with the coronavirus?
Oh, yeah, well, no, we're offering them tremendous help. We have the best in the world for that. We've done a tremendous job in many other instances also on that, even recently. No, we've offered China help, but we can't have thousands of people coming in who may have this problem, the coronavirus. So we're going to see what happens, but we did shut it down, yes.
Now, the virus that we're talking about having to do, a lot of people think that goes away in April with the heat, as the heat comes in. Typically, that will go away in April. We're in great shape, though. We have 12 cases, 11 cases, and 61% of the voters approve of Trump's...
So they're basically showing the, let me make sure. But they're basically showing the evolution of how the address has changed, how he addressed the American people. I don't just want to play the full video and then get a copyright strike. So I don't think Donnie likes his voice. That seems to be the message he's trying to get across. I don't like his voice.
Handling of the coronavirus, and we did a very early move on that. I was criticized by a lot of people at the beginning because we were the first. We'd never done it before. We closed our borders to certain areas. It's never happened before.
I got to ask you about something that's on a lot of people's mind, and that is the coronavirus. How confident are you that China is being 100% honest with us when it comes to this scary virus?
Well, I'm confident that they're trying very hard. I mean, I know President Xi. I get along with him very well. We just made a great trade deal, which is going to be a lot of business for Arizona and every other place. But they are trying very, very hard. And I think the numbers are going to get progressively better as we go along. They're working it. They built a hospital in 7 days, and now they're building another one. I think it's going to work out fine. I think when we get into April and the warmer weather, that has a very negative effect on that.
Man, that's awful. I know you guys probably see the big chat message. Well, if you're on Facebook, it does. It says, check this out. This is for Tennessee regarding the coronavirus. Out of 6.829 million people, 7,070 have been infected and 148 people have died. Just to give some perspective, and I have been precautious to spot this truth in numbers. 7,070 out of 6,829,000 equals 0.000102, and then on less than 0.1% infected, transferring the decimal 2 places to the right. And 148 deaths out of 6.8 million is less than, or it's about equal to 0.0022%. Taking deaths from recovered patients is bad math and does not account for all infections. And that was using the Worldometer's info. But I wanted to read the bottom of it. It said Hayden did this math. Me and Hayden did this math together because she was all tore up about it and couldn't have a birthday party. Man, that's awful. I wish she could have had a birthday party. I saw some people were doing like a drive-by birthday party. You couldn't get out, you couldn't stop or whatever. Drive by, blow your horn, and wave. I know that's not a replacement, but I mean it's something, I guess. Mariah says, never trust China. I do not trust China, ever. Numbers, production, viruses, labs. Don't trust China. The Chi-coms, as Alex Jones would say.
And that type of a virus. So let's see what happens, but I think it's going to work out fine. We very much closed our doors in certain areas and about certain areas, through certain areas, and we'll see what happens. But we have the greatest doctors in the world. We have it very much under control. We accepted a few people, a small number of people. They're very well confined, and they should be getting better fairly soon. Very interestingly, we've had no deaths.
The flu in our country kills from 25,000 people to 69,000 people a year. That was shocking to me. And so far, if you look at what we have with the 15 people, and they're recovering. One is pretty sick, but hopefully will recover. And again, when you have 15 people, and the 15 within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero.
So they're going to put the spin on it that he started out with, it's not that bad, it's going away, there's not that many people, the flu's worse, and then progressively got worse. But I also feel like that's the way some of the information was portrayed. I mean, a lot of media outlets told you to be worried about the flu, right? Right wing, left wing, whatever. Told you to be more worried about the flu, or more worried about car crashes, more worried about whatever. And I don't think that's their fault, or even Donald Trump's fault. I think a lot of it had to do with the misinformation being fed to the World Health Organization by China. So they were just spitting out what they got from China, and I don't think China was accurate. Could quarantining earlier have stopped infections and possibly deaths? Yeah, but there's a fine line of when to do it, right? We could have quarantined in December or November when the first case happened in China, but that's too early. Or we could have quarantined later than we actually did when it was in every state, but that's too late. no matter the day he picked, I'm sure he would have upset someone, right? When he finally says, okay, this is it, we're closing travel, even from Europe, lock this down, lock that down, push the power out to the governors and recommend that they lock down their states. No matter what day he picked, someone would have been upset. I'm not a virologist, so I don't know the perfect date or the perfect range or this or that. But I also feel like, judging on the world stage, the United States is not handling it that bad. I honestly think we're doing pretty good compared to the rest of the world. But a lot of people could have brought us through doing this well, right? We ought to be doing better than everybody else. We're the top country in the world. A trained monkey could have probably done better than half the other countries in the world as president. So we'll dig a little deeper and see what actually went into this. I want to see what Donald Trump was doing on certain days, what he was saying, but I also want to see what these Democratic leaders that are calling him out, what they were doing on their days, and where they were at and what they were saying. It's easy to call somebody out in hindsight, but on the same day that you're calling them out for, what were you doing? Were you down in Chinatown, surrounded by people telling them to go hang out in Chinatown and eat, or were you already quarantined because the president should have had a quarantine in place? We'll get to the bottom of that. Almost 99.9% of the people in Tennessee have not been infected. Yeah, for sure, man. Like, I don't see no problem with opening up Tennessee, at least limitedly. And I don't know if limitedly is a word. And if you're at any type of high risk, scared, got kids that's high risk, got someone that's already sick, or lung problems, or highly susceptible or whatever, stay at home. Like, I'm not saying that we need to force everybody on the streets and just make them get it. But I think we can start opening up broader swaths of the Tennessee economy. That's just my opinion. I guess if Tennessee breaks out and starts looking like the Michigan infection rate or New York City, you guys can come back to the stream next week and yell at me. We'll go from there.
That's a pretty good job we've done.
We have a situation with the virus. We've done a great job. The press won't give us credit for it. We have, in a world that has some big problems, you look at China and you look at industry between the two countries, and I did something that had never been done before, because it had never been done before. I closed our borders to certain areas of the world. I won't be specific because it's not nice to be specific, but you understand where. And I closed the borders to certain areas of the world very early. We'd never closed the border before. We've never done that before.
Right.
And flights coming in and people coming in, because they had a very early problem, and I closed them. I took a lot of heat from the Democrats. They said, what's he doing? Because anything I do, they'll do the opposite.
Some countries are doing well, some countries are not doing.
I do have a question for chat. I actually might even make it into a poll. So a lot of people say that Donald Trump, when he speaks, he just sounds stupid, right? He sometimes sounds like definitely dumbing down his speech. He's not the most eloquent speaker. He's pretty blunt and straight to the point. Do you guys believe that's his natural speech pattern, and that's how he's always spoke and always will speak? Or is that more of a, let's speak like this because it reaches every man, everyone can understand it, and that goes directly towards his base or people that he might want as potential voters? Because you can easily say stuff that goes over people's head. Trust me, I've done it. But if you break it down and use the most simple terms, more people might connect with that. Or do you think that's just the way the man talks, and that's what he's got going on? What do you guys think?
Doing well, you can see that for yourself. And a lot of things are happening. We're very well organized. We have great talent, great doctors, great everyone. There's tremendous spirit.
Now the Democrats are politicizing the coronavirus. You know that, right? Coronavirus. They're politicizing it. We will do everything in our power to keep the infection and those carrying the infection from entering our country. We have no choice. Whether it's the virus that we're talking about or many other public health threats, the Democrat policy of open borders is a direct threat to the health and well-being of all Americans. Now, you see it with the coronavirus. You see it.
On Monday, I'll be meeting with the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, actually. They'll be coming to the White House, and we're talking about a vaccine and developing very quickly, and they've already started working on it, developing very rapidly a vaccine for the virus, to combat the virus. And we're having very good initial feedback. And I'd like to just ask and caution that the media, we would respectfully ask the media and politicians and everybody else involved not do anything to incite a panic, because there's no reason to panic at all. This is something that is being handled professionally.
Our country's doing very well. Our professionals are doing really an incredible job. We're also working with other countries to help them.
Are you also considering a national emergency declaration that would allow states and local governments to cap the amount?
I don't think you'll need that, because I really think we're in extremely good shape. We're prepared for anything, and we could always do that at a later date if we need it, but I don't think we need that at this stage. Interestingly, we were discussing, and a question I get asked a lot by people is, on average, you lose from 26,000 to 70,000 or so, and even in some cases more from the flu. We have deaths of that per year worldwide. It's hundreds of thousands of deaths from the common flu. And they ask, what's the difference and how does this differ? And I guess there are things that are similar and things that are different. Every one of them is different. You look at a percentage, we have a very, very small percentage. And a big percentage of what we have is when we brought in the 40 or so people from the ship. We brought them in, we immediately quarantined them, but you're adding that to the numbers that we had, which were very small. And I haven't touched my face in weeks. In weeks.
Mr. President,
I miss it.
We have a report today, the global death rate at 3.4%, and a report that the Olympics could be delayed. Your reaction to that?
Well, I think the 3.4% is really a false number. Now, this is just my hunch. But based on a lot of conversations with a lot of people that do this, because a lot of people will have this, and it's very mild.
Mr. President, at the outset of the coronavirus, your administration's response seemed to some as being confusing or minimizing. What plans are being considered on a federal level for the possibility of a long-term disruption from the novel coronavirus?
Well, actually, we're really given tremendous marks. You look at Gallup poll, you look at other polls for the way we've handled it. And one of the things I did is I closed down the borders to China and to other areas that are very badly affected and really having a lot of troubles. I mean, countries and areas of countries that have had a lot of problem. And I closed them down very early against the advice of almost everybody, and we've been given rave reviews. And that's why we have only right now 11, it's a lot of people, but it's still 11 people versus tremendous numbers of thousands of people that have died all over the world. We have 11. We have 149 cases as of this morning.
All right, so here we got some responses. Back up. I missed some stuff. Maybe not bars and schools. I agree. I'm talking about factories, industry stuff where we can wear masks, we can separate, we can hand sanitize, whatever. But luxury items, maybe not. Saw a Letterman episode from 1989, and he said the same thing he says now and sounded the same. Well, that's kind of proof. I will never understand when someone says need to act more presidential. What the fuck does that even mean? Right, Josh? 1986. Oh, sorry. I think he's really that dumb. I watched every Trump episode of The Apprentice. He's a smart dude, but he's always talked that way. That makes sense. I think Trump is a great businessman, and he knows what to say and when to say it to get the attention he's looking for. I think he has a strategy behind everything he does. Good or bad, just my opinion. Doesn't count coming from a hater. At Donnie. Donald Trump was elected for the way he speaks. He speaks his mind, and if people don't like it, too damn bad. I honestly think that he's brilliant. Man, some of the jokes, humor a lot of times is a sign of intelligence. intelligence. Some of the jokes he comes up with, and how quick he is sometimes. Man, he played the election like a fiddle. Like everybody thought, oh, this will be what ends him, or this will be what ends him, or he said this, and this will be. All it did was get him more attention, and attention wins the battles every time. They're like, oh, he'll never survive this, he'll never survive that. Man, he got so much attention, and all people wanted to do was not vote for Hillary. I think even in the scandal, so all press is good press, right? Even bad press. Man, he got a lot of attention. Being presidential is having a certain dignity and acting how you expect. Yeah, I mean, roughly within the last few years, but you realize that the presidents of the past were dueling and pot smoking and there's a lot of different presidents, man. So like everybody can look to Obama and say that he was presidential. Yeah, maybe for that time period. Who's to say that Trump isn't presidential? But there's there's been 44 of them. A lot of them weren't well, I guess if you go by elections, there was an assassination. I don't know. Weren't some of the first presidents like pretty rough and ready to rumble guys? You guys think? I didn't like the pattern that Obama talked with. He's like, and then he would start a sentence like, I think that we should put more books in the library. I didn't like that. It bothered my ears. And I do like the jokes that Trump makes and how he gets to people. I always think that's pretty cool. Let's finish watching this video and then we'll jump into some other stuff.
This morning was 129.
Anybody right now and yesterday, anybody that needs a test gets a test. They're there. They have the tests. And the tests are beautiful. Anybody that needs a test gets a test. If there's a doctor that wants to test, if there's somebody coming off a ship, like the big monster.
Anybody that needs a test gets a test. The tests are there. They're huge. They're beautiful. What? He doesn't have a whole lot of adjectives. If it's not beautiful or huge or brilliant, I don't think he has another way to. The brilliant tests that are huge and beautiful, they're all there. I don't think he has a whole lot of more adjectives. He was more structured and skipped. Oh, the speaking voice of Obama.
Monster ship that's out there right now, which, again, that's a big decision. Do I want to bring all those people on? People would like me to do that. I don't like the idea of doing it. But anybody that needs a test can have a test.
This was something that we were thrown into, and we're going to handle it, and we have been handling it very well. The big decision was early when we shut down our borders. We were the first ones ever to do that. We've never done that in our country before. We would have a situation that would be a lot more dire.
It will go away. Just stay calm. It will go away. We want to protect our shipping industry, our cruise industry, cruise ships. We want to protect our airline industry, very important. But everybody has to be vigilant and has to be careful. But be calm. It's really working out.
The numbers from a week ago were great, and from 2 days ago were great, but now we're hitting a patch. And we're going to have to do something with respect to getting rid of this virus as quickly as possible.
After consulting with our top government health professionals, I have decided to take several strong but necessary actions to protect the health and well-being of all Americans. To keep new cases from entering our shores, we will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days. The new rules will go into effect Friday at midnight. We want to lose as few people as possible.
Here's the real question that no one's asking. Who wants to listen to 4 years of Joe Biden just making up stories about people that don't exist and places that he's never been and things that never happened? So glad you guys elected me to be your senator. And the first thing he does is assign corn pops to his cabinet. with his rusty razor blade.
Possible, so important. And what is the number as of this morning? Is it 32? You could tell me. Is it 32 deaths? See, if around that. I mean, think of it. The United States, because of what I did and what the administration did with China, we have 32 deaths at this point. Other countries that are smaller countries have many, many deaths. 32 is a lot. 32 is too many. But when you look at the kind of numbers that you're seeing coming out of other countries, it's pretty amazing when you think of it. To unleash the full power of the federal government in this effort today, I am officially declaring a national emergency. Two very big words.
Doctors have
But
said
I
you
can
might
tell
have
you-
it even if you don't have symptoms. Are
Well-
you being selfish?
Wait. Obama skirted some responsibilities. I'm not going to say that he passed off as many as maybe Trump does to other people, but Obama skirted. Do you remember Fast and Furious, where he's like, there was a full blame game going around? You remember how far he distanced himself from Hillary Clinton during the Benghazi investigation? All politicians are skirting some responsibilities that probably fall at least partially on them. Like, I'm not going to get an Obama versus Trump debate, but you can't say that Obama never said, I'm not responsible for something. Now, come on. There's plenty of times that he dodged responsibility.
By not getting tested and potentially
Well, I didn't say I
exposing-
wasn't going to be tested.
Are you going to be?
Most likely, yeah. Most
When do
likely.
you think
Not for
that'll
that
happen?
reason, but because I think I will do it anyway.
Will you let us know
fairly
the
soon.
results?
We're working on that. We're working out a schedule. I also took the test last night, yeah. And I decided I should, based on the press conference yesterday. People were asking, did I take the test? I don't know, whatever it takes, a day or 2 days, whatever.
Shaking hands, sir.
Because it almost becomes a habit, and you get out of that habit. And frankly, I was a non-handshaker for the most part. I never believed that shaking hands once you become a politician. And I notice it too. Political people walk up to me, they want to shake my hand. I said,
Except the first line of his book, The Art of the Deal, says every deal starts with a good, strong handshake.
well, you know,
Mixed message, sir.
just wait a minute. Just take it nice and easy, okay? Just relax. People come up to me, they shake hands, they put their hand out. It's sort of a natural reflex, and we're all getting out of it. All of us have that problem. You don't have to buy so much. Take it easy. Just relax. People are going in and they're buying more. I remember, I guess during the conversation, Doug of Walmart.
I can see that, Josh. He said, I thought Obama seemed like a good guy, but was in way over his head. I think he was propped up and pushed forward by the majority of the Democratic Party because they thought, we can here's this guy, and we can make a run for the White House with him. This most likely candidate to win, and he may have got pushed in over his head. But can you be in your lane and be president? Or seems like it'd be hard to get in there and be president and not been in over your head, right? There's stuff that they don't know going into office, and then the first day they sit down, or maybe the first week they sit down, they're ready to pull their hair out. I don't know. That'd be a tough job. Sure.
It said that they're buying more than they buy at Christmas. Relax. We're doing great. It all will pass.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the response to this crisis?
I don't know if that's the real Mariah or her mom who can't get signed out of her account. But I told Mariah the other day that even if Biden wins, I still want Trump to go live every day and give a press conference. Like, even if I'm the only person watching, I'll be there every day. I watch all the live press conferences. It's some of the funniest things. Well, then why, if it's my wife, why are you still in my bit, Mariah? I told you that yesterday. Anyways, I want him to go live every day just so I can watch it, even if I'm all by myself. The man's I don't know, man. He's a joke factory. I can't believe the way he talks to some people.
Rated at 10. I think we've done a great job. And it started with the fact that we kept a very highly infected country, despite all of even the professionals saying, no, it's too early to do that. We were very, very early with respect to China, and we would have a whole different situation in this country if we didn't do that. I would rate it I would rate ourselves and the professionals. I think the professionals have done a fantastic job. It seems to me that if we do a really good job, we'll not only hold the death down to a level that is much lower than the other way, had we not done a good job. But people are talking about July, August, something like that. So it could be right in that period of time where it washes through. Other people don't like that term, but where it washes through.
So is this the new normal until the height of the summer?
We'll see what happens, but they think August, could be July, could be longer than that. I just say this, we have an invisible enemy. We have a problem that a month ago nobody ever thought about. Nobody in the, I've read about it. I read about many years ago, 1917, 1918. I've seen all of the different problems similar to this that we've had. This is a bad one. This is a very bad one. This is bad in the sense that it's so contagious. It's just so contagious. Our guidance yesterday urges Americans to take action for 15 days to help stem the outbreak. So it's a 15-day period. I guess now would say it's a 14-day period. It's 15 days from yesterday, and we're asking everyone to work at home.
I tell you this much: I see y'all talking about Trump and Biden. If the presidential debates were pay-per-view, I would pay to watch them. I cannot wait. I think Trump's possible only downfall is if he goes in too hard and for too long, and people see it as him picking on the old senile guy. But I cannot wait until Biden starts thinking on his feet about the questions and no teleprompter, and when they start bringing up about how half of the U.S. population was killed by gun violence in the last 10 years. Oh, I can't wait. Every day I get more excited knowing there's a presidential debate coming. It's coming, folks. Get ready. We might stream it and have a drinking game.
Possible, postpone unnecessary travel, and limit social gatherings to no more than 10 people. By making shared sacrifices and temporary changes, we can protect the health of our people, and we can protect our economy, because I think our economy will come back very rapidly. One day we'll be standing possibly up here, we'll say, well, we won, and we're going to say that. Sure as you're...
All right, so the gist of it is basically it went downhill, right? So it went from, yeah, it's not that bad, to, okay, it's pretty bad, we need to take some aggressive measures. But isn't that how everybody thought about it? You know, I mean, were you all thinking that it would get this bad in November or December or January? I think everybody's view of it evolved a little bit, right? So, yeah, he changed his tone a few times, but I believe everybody else has. I'm not positive on that, but I would assume nobody in early November, except for that one doctor that the Chinese government killed, was too upset about the whole thing. I don't know. Let's see some of the negative rhetoric that's coming from the left about how he's handling it and mishandling it, I guess. Bad as I want to click on that one. Let's see if there's something more. All right, here we go. This is MSNBC, how Trump's mistakes made coronavirus worse.
Are you over 25? Have a clean driving record?
Testing shortage in the U.S. means that right now, as you were just hearing, the message from everyone is we need to keep the hospitals clear for people with severe cases, and you can't get a test unless you're really sick, which, because we don't have enough tests, makes sense from a medical standpoint. But from an epidemiological standpoint, it means we just don't know the scope of the pandemic. We can't react or take proactive measures accordingly, particularly not regionally. Now, we didn't have to end up here. A series of failures and missteps by the federal government has led us to a point where we are now doing less testing than any other comparable nation. Joining me now is Dan Diamond of Politico, who's done some very in-depth reporting on the federal government's response. One of his recent pieces is titled "Trump's Mismanagement Helped Fuel Coronavirus Crisis." Dan, it's a great piece, and you've done great reporting about this. Take us back a few months ago. What were the...
If this guy tries to equate the CDC making poor tests... Oh, thank you, Josh. I appreciate it. I'm fixing to pull him in. Let's get Aaron so I have somebody to bounce back and forth with. Hope you're ready, Big A. Big A, what's up?
What's going on?
We're talking President Trump and some coronavirus, my friend.
I've heard some of it, dude.
We've already been in a couple heated debates about who's the better speaker, whether it's Biden or Trump. What do you got for us?
I said one of them isn't even able to read a flashcard, let alone put together a coherent sentence. Like, he was in an interview the other day. I don't know what news station it was, but he was trying to read from his card and just ended up staring at the wall, talking about the Paris Accord that happened in like the World War II era. Like people were like, "What in the hell is this guy talking about?"
Yeah, that was a floating head like thing where they had the people in the boxes, and you could see the other two like hosts were just like looking down and looking away. They're like, "Oh God, is this the best we got?"
Look, man, in all seriousness, the sad thing about it is the guy is literally deteriorating before our eyes. He does not need to be running. He doesn't, and it's sad. I think he's just a puppet they're propping up until they get into the general election, and then they can swap it to whoever they want.
Do you think that? I think that somebody might step in. If they don't step in when they have their whatever it's called, the big meeting. What's the thing called? The when they all come together and decide the delegates. It's not like conference, but it's anyways when they actually decide who wins the bid, when all the Democrats gather together.
Is that part of the DNC, the Democratic National Convention?
The convention is the word I was thinking of.
Yeah.
When they get to the convention, do you think they're going to swap somebody out, or do you think that they're hoping that he'll die on the campaign trail and get the sympathy vote?
I don't think he'll die. I mean, it literally is it's dementia kicking in. It really is. And it's honestly, what they're doing to this guy is horrible. Somebody needs to be like, "Hey, buddy, it's time to go."
Somebody said, a contested convention. Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, they'll prop somebody else up. But have we ever? Is there a case that he gets close to the White House and then somebody declares him mentally incompetent? Is there?
And then the VP takes over. I mean,
yeah.
the VP takes over.
Crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, Trump's gonna slaughter him. There's no way around it. It's gonna be brutal, bud. I can't wait to watch. Like you said, if I could pay to watch it, I would.
Yeah, it's going to be a fucking cage match, dude. It's going to be like the bully in school, like a senior that's been held back like 4 or 5 years. He's like 25, kicking the shit out of a kindergartner in like a locked room. Like,
Biden's going to challenge him to some push-up competition and call him a dog-faced pony soldier. Like, it's going to be bad.
If they don't have some kind of rule in place where Biden can tap out, man, we might see the first on-air slaughter.
Yeah, I think there needs to be somebody standing in between them because
I
Biden
agree.
will go down in the purse.
I cannot wait to see it, dude. Oh God, like I said, even if I gotta pay for it, I've got a credit card. We'll stream it on air. We might do a drinking game for every time that Biden makes up a fact or a different office that he's running for. We'll figure something out.
Or just loses his train of thought or stutters. Like, it's like 3 shots right there. He stuttered.
Donnie said the debate will be two people who speak like fourth graders. I'm not saying that Trump's a great orator, but
no, he's not. But he can finish a thought.
Yeah, he's. I don't think he's losing train of thought. Hey, Big A, let me know if you can hear this video. I'm gonna play it again, and we'll talk about what this guy's getting ready to say. He's a reporter who is saying that Trump actively is making the coronavirus worse.
Early missteps in terms of how the White House and the president, how proactive or not proactive they were in going at this?
Well, I think it depends how far back you want to go, but the starting point for me, Chris, would be in January. Secretary Alex Azar, the health secretary, did become alarmed about the spread of this virus in China. He tried to take that message to the president, but the aides around President Trump, some of them who don't like Azar, who have fought Azar, Azar's own standing had fallen somewhat in the administration. Some of them thought that this was not going to be a presidential priority. So tried to steer him away. By the time the secretary
I was just checking it. Give me just a second.
Mid-January, it was around the same time that the...
Give me just a second. I know what's wrong. But we'll play that right again. I had to change this for the Skype call the other day. Anyways, this guy, I mean, like, I don't... Anybody,
how do you say that somebody's making it worse?
Yeah,
how do you say that?
Like,
is he telling people to run amok, or is he taking steps to mitigate the infection? If he's taking steps to mitigate the infection, then he's obviously not making it worse.
Right, for sure. Like,
that's
I don't...
child's argument.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on there, but I don't. He's like, you could, like I said earlier, you could quarantine a lot earlier, right? Like, you could quarantine to the point where we've been locked down for 2 years, right? We could live under a communist regime and we never leave, but you've got to reach a certain point before you say, okay, this is it, we're locking it down.
Yeah, well, I think the problem was air travel should have been banned a lot sooner, but the whole thing was that who was saying that air travel didn't need to be banned? And at the time, we kind of listened to who? We thought maybe, okay, they're an authority, they know what they're talking about. Who recommended not banning air travel?
Right.
So we didn't ban air travel in December. As soon as who said ban air travel, we banned air travel a day later. The issue is that all through November and December, if anybody remembers, the only thing the news cycles would play was impeachment.
Yeah, we were so wrapped up in Russian conspiracies and impeachment that no one was paying attention to anything else. Like, I don't know.
They weren't.
Give me just a second. Let me play this video and see where it's coming through at and how to route it back to you.
Okay. First patients were being discovered in the United States, people who had returned from China. That could have been a moment for urgency, for the administration to really put all of the resources that we now see the Trump administration doing. But in that moment in January, and really for much of February too, the urgency just wasn't there, which public health officials have said privately.
Give me just a second.
No worries.
This is a shame. China bought the world time with its significant measures to lock down its population. China made lots of mistakes too, but by seeing the explosion of cases and knowing what was coming, the U.S. had time to get ahead, time that was not used to its best advantage.
You said this in an interview with Terry Gross on Fresh Air. You said the president attached to rosy scenarios about coronavirus, fixated on case count, and conveyed to staff that low numbers were better politics for 2020. What do you mean by that?
The president and his team knew early on that panic or perceived panic around this virus could be devastating to his campaign. President Trump has been able to run ahead of many problems because of the success of the economy. This threat, as we've seen in recent days, this public health threat is also
Give me
an
just a second,
threat.
Chad. I'm trying to figure this out. You drinking tonight with us, big guy?
I'm on my third 16-ouncer.
I heard one open. Look out.
It's Ultra tonight. As soon as I run out of the Ultras, I'm trying these IPAs from Florida here.
All right.
Did not want to.
The Mad Manatee. See how that goes.
What is the Mad Manatee?
Notes of panic did not want to.
It's an IPA from
alarm.
brewed out of Florida. I don't know. I got it because anywhere I go, I try to get some kind of local.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Yep.
How is
so there was a lot of wishful thinking, a lot of hopeful talk, and some efforts to.
How is what?
How is Florida like? I mean, you're kind of. I guess you're not in the most populated area, right? You're not even close to Walmart.
I'm 20 minutes south of Tallahassee.
Try and.
So, I guess the nearest Walmart's about 9 miles away.
Yeah, I've actually. I know exactly where you're at. I've been there before. Let me keep up with chat for just a second. I'm still working on this. I'll read you some of the chat.
I heard Tennessee was getting rid of their quarantine on the 30th.
We are. We're actually, some businesses, they're going to work with some larger businesses and have them open by the 27th, I think. Let's see.
Now, obviously, they're not opening any hospitality or restaurants, right? It's just
they're going to open a lot of businesses, but it's mostly aimed at like factories and production. They actually said that all businesses are essential to our economy, and that they were going to start opening all businesses, but there's certain rules for each county. So each county cannot have a new case within like the last 14 or maybe it's 21 days, and then there's a couple other rules which like percentage of population infected, and total number of infected, total number of tested, just to make sure that we're just not testing them and there are a bunch of infected. There's a bunch of rules county by county, but in all the big metropolitan counties where it could get out of hand quick, they're doing they're actually going to have state representatives on the ground for each rollout. But not like my town. My town will probably just open, but like Knoxville, Nashville, Chattanooga, stuff like that will roll out with a state representative advising them on exactly what the governor wants. Hey, actually, I forgot to, if you're joining us on Facebook, hop over to the YouTube channel. I'm going to cut the Facebook audience loose. Join us on YouTube. We'll finish this discussion while I'm working on the audio, and we'll talk more about what President Trump's done right and what he's done wrong by both sides. You can go to youtube.com/Will Bird, and it'll be the live episode right now. Thanks for joining us on Facebook. I hate this stupid audio meter program. Like, it's so hard. They make it so complex to, like, route the audio back around. Everything's labeled weird shit. Like, let's see. This would be B2. If I put this where that's coming through.
Well, let's just say somebody had.
Just didn't get through. Did you hear that?
Oh, I hear it.
Okay, I fixed it. I couldn't concentrate while I was trying to keep up with chat and worry about Facebook and everything else. But all right, I got it fixed now. Let's rewind
I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
If let's say somebody had to break the seal, how do I mute myself here? Voice settings, mute. Is that what I do?
Yeah, you would go to just mute your mic, and you can still hear me, and you can still hear this video. I'm getting ready to play anyways.
Gotcha. 10-4. I'll be right back.
All right, man. All right, let's see, chat. What we got going on? I saw Britton Fishhook is what I call him, jumped in. I think he'll pick Michelle Obama as a running mate if he happened to win. He would then be declared unfit to serve, and she would take over, which would then make old Nancy Pelosi, old Nancy the VP. Oh, God. So you're telling me we're going to have another black man as president? I mean, I guess that's good for progressives. Or is that the first transgendered president? God, she's manly. That's not a conspiracy theory. I'm just making a joke.
I'm back.
It's not going to be a fair fight. Bernie is 112. Biden is in late stage dementia, and Trump is quick-witted. I agree. Britton, I'm with you. The same day Obama endorsed him, Biden announced that he was going to tell who his running mate is. Who is his running mate? I hope you're wrong. That's concerning. That's exactly what I think their play is. I guess time will tell. Obama is weak. If he believed in Joe, he would have endorsed. Yeah, it took a long time for that Biden endorsement, for sure. We cannot let that happen. It's our responsibility to go vote. We reached 100 messages in the stream. I think she would be a strong running mate for the Dems and their voters. Unfortunately, she doesn't know anything about running a country. I agree. I'm not a Dem, but I see this being a real possibility. I don't drink anymore. I'm sorry for you, sir. I wish I could do something for you, but I'll just consume the rest of the alcohol. How do you know there? How do you not have a beer for the Cold Beer Confessional? That's exactly right. That's our slogan. We're brought to you by Miller High Life. They pay me nothing, but that's the beer I drink. You should always have beer available. I typically don't drink on work days. I go on a 7-day break after tomorrow. There you go. Just get shit-faced and tune in. I'm going on 5 weeks sober. Jesus. In all honesty, congratulations. Hey, I worked as a wine rep for about 7 years. Had plenty of drinks. Stay live, bro. Let it flow. She's a man. They're talking about me talking about Michelle Obama. God, she's manly, dude. Have you seen her traps?
I don't disagree. I have seen the her on Ellen DeGeneres, a slowed down video, and you can see the dangle. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I saw that. She's got a little flop going on. I don't know what that
going
was.
on. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's a mic.
Oh, Josh.
Maybe a boom mic.
I read a chat wrong. Josh said he's 5 weeks and not sober, not 5 weeks sober. He was in here complaining the other day how he's on lockdown and all he does is drink. Trump is the very opposite of quick-witted. I would disagree. I think he gives those reporters a pretty good lashing most of the time when I catch the hot takes. So I don't know. Let's hop into this video. I think I've rewound it to where they're going to start here. Let's see what this guy about how Trump's making it worse. His article is called "Trump's Mismanagement Helped Fuel Coronavirus Crisis."
Coronavirus crisis. Dan, it's a great piece, and you've done great reporting about this. Take us back a few months ago. What were the early missteps in terms of how the White House and the President, how proactive or not proactive they were in going at this?
Well, I think it depends how far back you want to go, but the starting point for me, Chris, would be in January. Secretary Alex Azar, the health secretary, did become alarmed about the spread of this virus in China. He tried to take that message to the president. But the aides around President Trump, some of them who don't like Azar, who fought Azar, Azar's own standing had fallen somewhat in the administration. Some of them thought that this was not going to be a presidential priority. So tried to steer him away. By the time the secretary did brief the president, which was mid-January, it was around the same time that the first patients were being discovered in the United States, people who had returned from China. That could have been a moment for urgency, for the administration to really put all of the resources that we now see the Trump administration doing. But in that moment in January, and really for much of February too, the urgency just wasn't there, which public health officials have said privately, this is a shame. China bought the world time with its significant measures to lock down its population. China made lots of mistakes too, but by seeing the
I lost the audio.
All right, I got you. You hear me, man?
Yep, I hear you.
Sorry, I had an echo going on. I hate the argument that Trump, I don't disagree that he was actively maybe on good information, maybe on bad information. I wouldn't say downplaying it, but playing it as, hey, it's going to be okay, everything's all right. But I honestly think it was in a way to try to save our economy. Like, he didn't want the economy in free fall. He didn't want people looting grocery stores. Like, I just hate the argument that just because he tweeted something, even though we don't know what he was doing privately to prepare, that means that he didn't believe it, or didn't do this, or didn't have his advisors near him, and that this guy is going to say, like, medical advisors privately just told me that this and that and that. Well, they didn't come out publicly, so how are you going to use a private conversation to try to pitch your story?
Yeah, they also mentioned that the guy came to Trump's aides, and the aides were turning him away. So whether that even reached Trump, we don't know. He didn't say that he directly spoke to Trump anyway. He's talking to Trump's aides. So
if he believed that message was that important, you think he would have took it to the president directly himself.
Yeah.
Like, if he's an advisor to the president and he's going up to an aide and, like, dropping subtle hints, this is not my wife. We're trying to actually get a clear message across. You know what I mean?
One of the things I see as a big issue is now he's turning around and defending China. China did such a great job at doing this. China did such a great job at doing that. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they killed 2 whistleblowers or more, possibly more.
Yeah, at least 2.
So, at least 2 that we know of.
I don't know. Hold
Have
on,
a wet market.
I think we got a fight going on in chat. So he only responds, "You're fake news." He uses elementary insults. If you're bashing someone instead of defeating them, intelligent arguments, you're the opposite of quick-witted. I don't know. I don't think the quick-witted has anything to do with intelligent arguments. If you really want to go to the definition, right, it would be having wit quickly. And wit can be any type of joke. Just because you don't think it's intelligent, I don't think that would defeat the argument. Then a bunch of people. Go ahead.
I think a lot of Trump's quick-wittedness has stuck. Like all his little nicknames he gives people, like Creepy Joe.
Yeah, or Rocket Man. Like, Rocket Man is my all-time favorite. Like, sass and wit are 2 very different things. That was from the quote. Being witty can be sassy as well. I don't know. Trump's funny, man, and just because he's quick, like, do you ever see him, like, responding days later? I mean, he's standing up there and doing the thing. Like, he's pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, and now that Corona's around, all we're talking about is how he's handled Corona when the economy was literally booming, better than it's ever done. Jobs are up, unemployment's down, and next thing you know, here's Corona, and we're talking about, did he handle it? He's the most scrutinized president of all time. It's outrageous.
That's what I was telling Chad earlier. So the day that he, like, agreed and pushed I like how he pushed the power out to the governors rather than trying to lock down the whole country himself. But the day he pushed it out, if he would have done it a day or a week earlier or a day or a week later, the same people probably would have been upset no matter what, right? So
yeah,
he wasn't going to win. He wasn't going to win that argument. But I am hoping that when this opens back up, that the economy's fixing to take off like a rocket, dude. Like, everybody been cooped up, got a little money, especially if they put through another stimulus going back to work. I think it'll really take off.
Yeah. I mean, some are more affected than others. I mean, you see the food banks in Texas. The lines that get into that food bank are outrageous. I mean, the whole push to open back up the economy is mainly people from those food banks and stuff like that. They're protesting because they can't feed their kids. It's a problem.
Yeah, you got to be able to survive. Like, we're not out trying to finance a new car or a new house. But just like I said the other day, like, if it come down to keeping my lights on for my wife and kids, or disobeying a law that told me to stay in the house, I'm gonna go out and find an odd job or do something. Like, I've done it before. The lockdown isn't gonna stop me.
Yeah.
Let's dive back into the video.
Explosion of cases and knowing what was coming. The U.S. had time to get ahead, time that was not used to its best advantage.
You said this in an interview with Terry Gross on Fresh Air. You said the president attached to rosy scenarios about coronavirus, fixated on case count, and conveyed to staff that low numbers were better politics for 2020. What do you mean by that?
The president and his team knew early on that any panic or perceived panic around this virus could be devastating to his campaign. President Trump has been able to run ahead of many problems because of the success of the economy. This threat, as we've seen in recent days, this public health threat is also an economic threat. The president's team did not want to put out notes of panic, did not want to alarm the public, perhaps unnecessarily. So there was a lot of wishful thinking, a lot of hopeful talk, and some efforts to try and pierce that bubble just didn't get through. Now, it's interesting to talk to some of those officials today, Chris, because everyone swears they knew this was a problem. It was just someone else around the president who didn't want him to know. But the president himself focused so much on the numbers and the case.
Hold on just a second. So, Justin, by your own definition, it says quick and inventive verbal humor. So if he thought of the idea, so he invented it, and he was quick to say it, then that's, quick-witted. Just because you say that the insult is bashing doesn't mean that he's not quick-witted. He invented all these nicknames. He comes back up with all these ideas. Like, I would say it meets your very textbook definition, would you not? Like, did you come up with Rocket Man, or did you come up with Sleepy Joe, Sloppy Joe, all the different things, Creepy Joe, all the different things he's called Joe Biden? Like, I would say that's quick-witted. I got sidetracked.
Yeah, well, I think back to the time when he was debating Hillary, and she said it'd be a real shame if someone like that was running our country, and he said, because you'd be in jail. Like, that was a very good quick-witted comeback right there.
That was the best comeback everywhere, like or ever in a presidential debate, when he's like, "Yeah, because you'd be in jail." That was amazing. Like that's quick wit, clearly.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump back in the video. Less distracted now by chat.
Case count. I was writing a story, and he came out and did a press conference at the CDC where I felt like he scooped my story. He said, I don't know if I want these patients to come off a cruise ship because I like the numbers where they are. That message in public is what he has also reiterated in private.
Meaning that there is a message from the top that we don't want high numbers. And high numbers are what you get if you're testing adequately and actually properly surveilling the...
Wait. We don't want high numbers because that means that more people are infected. Like, you can't say that we don't want high numbers because it means that we're testing adequately. If the man says we don't want high, if he said like we don't want high deaths, would that mean that you think that he wants to bury people on mass graves and not record the deaths? That didn't make any sense at all. The man said he doesn't want high numbers. That no one in this country wants high numbers.
The whole thing is... I'm sorry. I was going to say the whole thing is him saying he doesn't want high numbers, and they make it sound like it's all a political thing with Trump. I genuinely think he cares about the U.S. people, and I don't think that when he's thinking about... I don't think he's thinking about his campaign in these scenarios. I think he's thinking about the economy more so than the campaign. I genuinely think he cares more about the economy in his campaign, because I think he knows, like we know, that his next presidency is sealed. Like he's going to win.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and not only worrying about the people, but the economy reflects directly to the people, right? So, like, if the economy's in the tank, you can care about the people all you want, but no one's going to be happy. No one's going to have a good job. Everybody's going to lose everything. Do you guys remember 2008? Like, Jesus Christ, it's, I don't know, like, I honestly think that he's worried about both aspects because both aspects tie in together. But I don't think that he's going to, just, if he was laid out the two options, like, the economy's going to drop, but we're basically going to murder people, or that, you know, like we can keep we can save these people, but you know the economy's going to go down. I don't think he's just rooting for the economy. I think he's trying to handle everything, and I mean it would be a tough job. Like president would be a rough job. You can tell by their pictures going in and out how much they stress over this shit. Like it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
The president has been sending a public and private message saying, like, I don't want to know, basically, how many cases we have.
I think the message has changed this week, especially between the primetime Oval Office address, the comments in the Rose Garden today. But yes, Chris.
Wait. Now you're moving the goal. So you can't say that he's not quick-witted or witty, and then when you use the definition to prove that he's witty, then you can't say like, well, witty isn't a quality that I want. That wasn't the original argument. He is quick-witted. If you don't like that in the president, then vote for sure. But you can't just move the goal and change the argument right in the middle of it. He is quick-witted. You can't just then say, well, I don't want a witty president. Well, he according to you, he's not witty. We're pushing the goal. We're pushing the field goal off the field, but
the feeling from the top that this could have been a message of we need to find every single case in the country. We need to make sure every base is covered. The steps that have been taken recently could have been taken weeks ago. But the belief was that the border control strategy, which the president attached to it, lines up with some of his other thoughts on national security. That was seen as sufficient and working.
Right.
There wasn't much of an effort to go beyond.
And you hear him say that. He says, we close the border, which, by the way, is not really true. I mean, obviously we didn't, because there's cases from Wuhan that ended up in the U.S. that were probably transmitted. So there were some travel restrictions, but it was not.
So the travel restrictions did go into place from China effectively, but you can't. He wasn't going to lock out American citizens or visa holders. Like I think if he would have done that, he would have got much more backlash if there would have been American citizens in China that he locked down, like and locked out of the country, just because like the number is like the Democrats like to throw around is, yeah, even after he locked down travel from China, 40,000 people came from China. But they were American citizens. What would you have us do with them?
Yeah, they need to come over, be locked down for 14 days. And that's even if we knew the incubation period of that time was 14 days. I don't even know if that information was available.
Yeah, there was crazy information. At that time, there was crazy information. They were saying, like, see, they told them in China, they made an announcement in China that it was transferable back and forth to animals. And there was videos of people in their apartment complex throwing their pets. I'm sorry I laughed, but they were throwing their pets from the roof of their apartment complex to keep from getting infected, because that's apparently the most effective Chinese method. But here in the United States, we heard that it wasn't interspecies until, the zoo starts reporting that their lions and shit have come down with it. There was tons of misinformation. It didn't seem like the World Health Organization was worried about anything more than their check signed by China. So, I honestly think he was operating on the best information he had. I mean, you might think different, but that's what I think.
Well, you look at when Tom Hanks got it. He was in Australia. And he didn't come back until it was over.
Yeah, he and his wife, I think, locked down together, right?
Yeah, in Australia until they were better, then they came back.
And honestly, I was telling the chat earlier, like, there's two different ways to look at it. Like right now, we're handling this pretty well. I think we missed the curve that they predicted by a long shot, right? And then we seem to be caught up on our testing. We're caught up on the ventilators. We're taking care of everybody. We're doing stimulus or whatever. So I think we're doing good compared to the rest of the world. But you can also look at it as America's one of the greatest places in the world. Like, we should have done better than the rest of the world too.
Yeah, well, I mean, our deaths. Sorry, I keep talking. Our deaths per capita are actually lower than most of the world. Aside from Germany and a few small countries that are so small that if one person dies in that country, then it's all over. But
Yeah,
Our
yeah,
deaths
for
per capita are extremely low.
And that they even took much like China. You gotta put an asterisk by China because they were, you're right, they were the epicenter when it took off. So they were behind the curve when they started, but they took much more drastic measures like locking down entire precincts or whatever they call them over there, and restricting travel between. I mean, they were literally, I've seen videos of them welding steel bars over people's doors in apartment complexes so they couldn't leave their house. And they still didn't do very well with it.
And if they found out you were infected, they were dragging you into a ward and tossing your body in.
Oh, and God forbid you make a Skype video like that. That's when you instantly die from the coronavirus. Delivered at
somehow you die.
Delivered at 2,300 feet per second. Like it was pretty rough.
It's almost like you knew Hillary Clinton and you suddenly committed suicide. That's how that.
like the Clinton body count got a hold of you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, for a while when the coronavirus first started, there were memes going around that the coronavirus is almost up to the Clinton body count.
Yeah, I saw one that said that all we have to do is slip the Clinton Foundation some information that they might have bad information on the Clintons, and then Hillary and Bill will take care of it. Nah, let's watch the rest of this video. I'm gonna try to get out of chat, and let's watch the rest of the video.
They're tight, but you get a sense when you listen to him when he's announcing the Europe thing, the European travel restrictions, that like that's all you need: build a wall, shut it off. But of course, the virus got here anywhere.
Yeah, viruses don't respect walls all that much. I think that public health officials, and I've talked to enough, would say the China moves were understandable. This was a mysterious virus. It may have slowed things down. The Europe moves are a little less obvious. It's clearly spreading in the United States. And I think what's complicating, Chris, is we didn't let our European partners know. They were offended. They were upset. And there are major corporations that would help us fight and test the virus. We need to partner and get supplies from Europe in the weeks and months moving forward. So it's a moment where there are obvious things that need to be done, but some of those things are politically very difficult. And until recently, the president and his team were hesitant to lean into them.
All right, Dan Diamond has been...
This guy's clearly one of those Alex Jones Chi-Com agents. Like, he's like, well, you know what the Chinese did was, obviously it was kind of cloudy and they were slow moving. The Chinese lied to us. They lied to us about the virus. They lied to us about the numbers. They lied to us about where it came from. They blamed it on our own soldiers. They paid off the World Health Organization to delay reporting of what they knew was accurate, and they kicked out every agency that the United States had in China when we offered help. Like, I don't think you could be like their judgment was clouded. They had a very clear vision of what they wanted to do with this, for sure.
I also like how they're talking about we needed testing from France and Italy and stuff. Our private sector was killing the game. You know, within a few weeks, our private sector had a test that could test it in 5 minutes. They can tell you whether you had the corona or not. A day later, another company beat them out and had a test that could tell you in 2 minutes whether you had corona or not. All these companies, if they can make the best test on the market, they win the prize. They get the money. The government buys their tests. That's the way the private sector works. Same thing with ventilators. When Ford transferred over a lot of their stuff, Ford made umpteen thousand ventilators.
Yeah, for sure.
Private sector really kicks ass.
Yeah, and if we were under socialism, I don't believe the private sector would be competing the way it is, because there is no private sector. It would have been the government said, okay, ventilator company make ventilators, or test company make tests. There would not have been the level of innovation there has been. Even if all ventilators are standard or all tests are standard, the speed at which they're coming out, at which they can be sold, the market decides these things and does amazingly well at doing it. When you leave it for the market to decide, then it usually does a pretty good job.
Yeah, competition always makes things better. You got to beat the next guy.
Oh yeah, and like I'm not against like I'm not full on like 100% like free market. Like there's gonna be abnormalities and or like monopolies and stuff. But other than that, like all this protectionism and regulating and everything else that they're trying to tie to it is pretty rough. We got to take care of our environment at a rate that we can stand, and we got to let the market decide the rest of it.
Yeah, and the market will innovate ways to take care of the environment if you incentivize it.
Yeah, they're not destroying the world that they make money in.
Yeah, exactly. There's the whole thing about capitalism is I'm very pro-capitalism, very anti-crony capitalism. So, if you allow the market 100% freedom, then you get crony capitalism. You got to keep an eye on that. You got to keep that at a minimum.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm looking for a video that Crowder did the other day, and it was comparing like what the media had going on while they were condemning Trump for downplaying the virus. Let me see what The chat is arguing Hitler at this point. Safe to assume we went completely off the rails. Like,
arguing about Hitler.
Oh no, I'm not even diving into the JQ as they would call it on the internet. There was a video where it was like he pulled up not only what Trump was saying, but what everybody else was doing, like other senators and what the news was reporting at the time. Had it all sourced really well. I had it pulled up already, but I was unprepared for this.
You were unprepared for the Hitler battles going on in your chat.
Yeah. Not just going to throw out a blatant Hitler did nothing wrong, but
change my mind. Change my mind.
That's a channel ender right there. If not a lawsuit. I guess they're talking about socialism. Actually, I'll read some of it to you. That's a mild overstatement. To hell with socialism. Nazi Germany was started by a socialist agenda. No, I'm not saying Bernie is equal to Hitler, but I don't want to get that ball rolling. People get mad. Somebody asked me, do we have a source on paying off the WHO? China is one of the largest contributors behind the United States, and I think one more to the WHO. They're not trying to stop their own money by throwing China under the bus. I'm not saying they wrote a special check to keep COVID under the rug, but they still had skin in the game. I think very argumentative on these points that have been established even by mainstream media. Where did the Hitler part? Hitler started off decrying socialism and pushing capitalism.
Mm-mm.
I thought it went on about Hitler. Oh no, they're still arguing with me saying that China paid off the WHO. They pay in the amount of money they pay them all the time. Like, would you throw your top donator under the bus, or would you expect to get that money? Have you seen the interview where they're talking about Tibet and they refuse to even acknowledge Tibet as anything to not offend China? They're obviously under the thumb of Chinese regime. I don't even know how you can argue that.
They had the facts. They didn't report them.
Yeah, for sure. I think they were. I don't think that they could have kept everything. I think they were slow rolling it, basically. Like, I don't think they could have kept everything under wraps forever. But they were like, hey, China, clean up your mess before we have to go with this.
Yeah. And let's say that these people are right. Let's say that maybe WHO didn't know and reported all of this false information under without being paid off and just not knowing, but reporting false information anyway. Why would you want to even fund an organization that doesn't do its job? You need to be informed. If you don't know, then you need to assume worst case and you need to take proper steps, for the worst case scenario. Why would you even give money to an organization that can't do what it was supposed to do in the first place? Don't give them money.
Yeah, for sure. Like, especially like I'm in favor of, I'm not saying that, like we should never fund the World Health Organization again. But if there's a theory out there that, they were misappropriating or withholding information, that we ought to do a full investigation, right?
Yeah. I think they'll be investigated.
Yeah, for sure. And we hold the money until, and if they're found completely innocent and everything comes back through, then fine. Like, we'll even back pay it. But until we figure out what was actually going on, I think somebody needs to do something about that for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to find the full video and roll to it. I couldn't find like a clipped version. It's about the fish tank cleaner lady.
I've been keeping up with Crowder lately. I think I know exactly the clip you're looking for.
Yeah, if you can find it, link it to me. It's like where he's talking about Schumer. I think it was Schumer and Pelosi were both out like in Chinatown hanging out, and then talking about how Trump. That was the same day he instigated his travel ban, and they called him a racist or a xenophobe.
Yeah, they had a video of Nancy Pelosi at a Chinese restaurant going, "Hey, you should come to Chinatown and eat."
Come hang out in Chinatown and get some lunch. Oh, hold on. I think I might have found part of it. Let me scrub through this right quick.
Democrats, you wonder why America, the heartland, doesn't think that you have their best interest at heart because of rogue Mike. You were wearing watch Seth Meyers in his hallway.
Two weakest people.
It's changing by the day.
They came with.
You have to pass it.
Yeah.
And then you can
before you can read it.
Well,
yeah, that's
their
true.
counter, I think, had 1,400 pages. Important to me. I don't know how more clearly we could see the media overreach right now. When they start blaming Donald Trump for people eating koi pond cleaner. When I saw the story, I was like, no, they're not going to jump on this.
Yeah, no.
There's no way.
Hey, I mean, Justin, bud, like, I'm just reporting what I see on the news, right? So everybody believes that the WHO slow rolled this because of what China was going on. Yes, I made that statement that they want to keep their money, which was corroborated by multiple news sources and people that are theorizing why they did this. If you don't like it, bud, you can kick rocks. Like, bye, motherfucker. Like, I ain't got shit to prove to you. And then that's the last I'm going to put on it, bud.
That they lack the self-awareness to blame Donald Trump for simpletons, for mongoloids drinking koi pond cleaner. And then they do.
Yeah.
Let me just give you a rapid-fire recap as to all of the dishonesties here. So, something you probably heard: Trump disbanded the pandemic unit there at the CD, was it CDC or the White House? I don't know. They didn't say NHS. Yeah. Actually, he just condensed it with other units so that the expertise could be pooled. It was actually a decision to make government more effective and efficient, not less. How dare he? They tried to say that Trump cut CDC funding, reducing the outreach from 49 countries to 10, including cutting their work in China. The truth is, it wasn't a direct cut. It was a depletion of previously allocated funds, and the CDC got that money from elsewhere, so it's a wash. Who cares? And the media tried to say that Trump, of course, called called the coronavirus a hoax. No, what he said was that Democrats pinning the blame on his administration was a hoax. And of course, don't forget the fish tank cleaner, but we all understand that one. That one's really stupid. It's fun to address, but I don't want to go over it. Here's the deal. After years of the anti-Trump, the Russian collusion, the Ukraine's quid pro quo, can the general public, how can they trust the media at all? If you've never heard them say one good thing about President Trump, and now they're saying that he's handling the outbreak poorly, when in fact it was the New York Times, the media, who downplayed it. We just, well, yeah, but hold on, but you said there were prostitutes peeing on the Formica. Yeah. Everything that you've said is incorrect. Why would they trust you now?
Right.
What do you think? Do you still think it's rallying behind Trump?
I do think that. Well, I think there's a good case here. I mean, and you see this occasionally from media members when they actually will acknowledge something. The Daily, that New York Times podcast, which is basically 30 minutes of them destroying Trump every day in their minds.
No, I don't listen to it.
Yeah,
Not with my compromised immune system.
That's true. Be safe. Be safe.
I'm susceptible to ear aids.
They had Maggie Haberman on, who was kind of flipped and flopped.
Jake Gyllenhaal's ugly sister?
Yes, exactly. And
every time she shows up on the big screen, I make an audible.
I think that's everybody.
Sorry, I interrupted.
So she admitted, she said, you know what, early on in this situation, Trump banned flights from China. He was called racist, he was called xenophobic, and it turned out that it was a good move, and it was a big move at the time. Yeah. Now, they wrap that in 30 minutes of criticism, but at least if they will acknowledge basic truths, it'll at least give us a chance to understand and listen to the criticism. Right. They're so unwilling because they're so obsessed with this guy that they normally won't even give him a point to his favor no matter what happens.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a real problem. And by the way, this is something too. They complained about the Republican bill. We've heard about this go back and forth all week. We'll talk about it more next week. Like the morning show, we'll be watching CNN and live fact checking. So it'll be a little different guests. It'll be more like a podcast, radio show, less late nighty, I guess. So we'll be able to talk more in depth about the bill. But initially, the left's complained that the Republican bill would allow hospitals, this was a big thing, that they would allow elective procedures to be put on hold to make room for corona patients. That included abortions, right? So here's the deal. Both sides have accused the other side of playing politics with this bill. You're trying to fit this in, and you're trying to earmark this. And okay, all right. And let's assume that that is true, because it is true. Both sides are trying to play a little bit of political football right now. They're trying to shoehorn their crap in. All right, let's assume all of that is true. What would be more relevant to a bill exclusively designed to curb the coronavirus and hopefully its economic ripple effect and devastation, helping hospitals alleviate their workload by holding all non-essential procedures like abortions, putting it on hold, or as the Democrats tried to shove into their bill, diversity quotas for corporate boards. Getting hospitals masks, respirators, or making sure that there's a newbie on retainer as an advisor at Dell. This is something that's really important too. Some people are trying to make this case for socialism. I think if you actually observe this objectively, you have to take this as a case against centralized government, because the private sector has stepped up and tried to fix a quagmire that was created by government, regardless of who's in office. But it also shows us that, you know what? There is a finite amount of resources with government. It's ironic to me that the left, they think, well, this person has more, and so I want to take it. They don't understand that capitalism, free enterprise, is not a zero-sum game. It's not just a piece of the pie. You can bake more pies. You know what is a fixed pie? Government. There's only so much money they can take, especially if everybody is unemployed for indefinitely, right? There's a limited amount of resources. So let's take into account the idea that the government, they've had this Russia hoax investigation going on. How many tens of millions, when you add that up, and hundreds of millions, I don't know, billions, I don't have the numbers in front of me, the impeachment sham going on. And the CDC, how about this CDC? Instead of researching gender pronouns and gun control statistics, you do your job. That way, people won't take a steaming crap on you as an emblem of systematic corruption and bureaucracy in government, looking to the private sector for help. There's a fixed amount of resources in the government. Seems like maybe we should be a little more prudent in where we use our resources so that we're not caught flat-footed with our pants down again.
So that wasn't actually the right clip, but I couldn't help but start him. I think, I mean, I think he brought up some good points. All the media was downplaying it. He was doing his best. The CDC failed, and they're trying to pin that on him. I think he's doing the best with the information he has, and the media is trying to make him out like a scapegoat because every media has bias. So Fox is supporting him, everybody else is against him, and they're trying to make him like a scapegoat, even though he's doing the best with the information he has.
I think it's a pretty obvious tell that one side is trying to play it political and one side's not playing it as political.
On the show tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know. I think it was honestly a gift from them, right? Because they could go from the impeachment, which was clearly dead, right into he mishandled the coronavirus. I don't know. I think everybody needs to turn towards let's save as many lives and keep as many people as fed and paying their shit as they can.
Yeah, that was the day the Republicans didn't take their break, and they voted on the stimulus bill. They had the stimulus bill ready, and then as soon as Democrats got back from their little vacation, they stopped it. Remember, the stimulus bill got blocked like 2 or 3 times by the Democrats.
And when they passed their version, then they went on break, right? That they couldn't vote on it. Like if I think it was the Senate. If the Senate wouldn't have voted, the House was already on vacation. Like nothing would have gotten passed.
No.
Right, you can't. They put a bill in, and then they basically the last ditch effort, and then they left. So there's no more negotiation. There's no more back and forth. It's either this or we're not coming back. And they knew how bad it was getting. They knew that travel restrictions were coming. They knew that they threw their thing out, and then that was it. That was the only option they had left.
Yeah, I think that in itself just shows who cares about. I don't want to say who cares about the American people, because I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh, the Republicans only care about the American people, because they don't. Everybody has their own agenda. But at the same time, one party's putting forth a decent effort, the other party's putting forth zero effort.
Oh yeah, they're instead of trying to take care of their own, I think they just instead of taking care of their own, they're trying to play the game where they're not taking care of you, right? So instead of everybody trying to take care of the American people and doing their part, I think it was more like we're going to try to take care of our people, and then the other side is going to say, well, you're not doing a good job of it. You did this, you failed this, you've done that.
Yeah.
And I don't think it related very well at all. Like, I think a lot of people saw that because, I mean, you could see it in a lot of in a lot of the polls they're taking of how the American people think that Trump's handling the coronavirus. I mean, he does pretty well. There's some ups and downs, but normally the majority of America thinks that he's doing pretty well. I think it took a dip in the last couple of days, but before that, it was well above 50%.
Yeah, well, he's been talking about ending the quarantine anyway, any kind of
leading into it. Yeah, I think he was setting it up, and then every time he set it up, he got bashed back down with, oh, you're just, the media would say, oh, you're going to kill people, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, but, I mean, I think eventually we've got to save our economy too. There's a line that's got to be drawn by someone at some point. Is it going to make everybody wrong? Then, yeah, like, is everybody going to be mad at you? Yeah, probably. But, I mean, we could lock down for a year, right? And make sure this is all gone. And then when we come out of it, it's like frickin' Armageddon in the economy. Or we could open up a little bit earlier. Maybe that has an effect on how many people get infected and go on with it, but we can save the economy that we got, because right now it's in free fall.
Yeah, everybody's a person, everybody's a human being. They can do their part to do their social distancing. They can not go see their grandparents for a little while, but you've got to do what you can. Wear a mask, but people need to go back to work. That's just the way it is. You shouldn't have these food banks where people are waiting to feed their children. People don't have the ability to make money and feed their children. That's the biggest problem. I think that's a bigger problem than potentially getting sick and potentially getting very sick and being hospitalized or dying. If you look at the numbers, when New York was at, I think it was a little over 6,000 deaths. They had, if you looked at the statistics, anyone under 45. So under 45, there were only 23 deaths. People under the age of 45, when they had 6,000 deaths, there were only 23 under the age of 40. And we don't even know if they had prior complications, immunodeficiency, anything like that. So when you're looking at the numbers, under 45 it's not a very high death rate. It's pretty damn low. You need to get these people back to work.
Right, for sure. Like, I don't, you can't, I'm a strong believer, and maybe this is, you know, something that not everybody believes. There is, a fine line between, like, I believe anybody's capable of committing murder. Like, there's a fine line between a man will go to that point or get so upset or take matters into his own hands that he's ready to take it above and beyond, right? So that's when you take a man's ability to take care of the people he loves or the people he's responsible for, his family, his wife, his kids, or whatever, then you're putting him on the verge of that, right? Like, anybody could end up in a situation any day where they're ready to kill another human being or take measures that drastic. When you take away a person's ability to provide and their family sitting here suffering and looking at them for the answer, then you're basically cornering them in that position. It might not be that drastic. Maybe they just break the law and go work, or maybe they do this, or maybe they sell that. But you can easily push someone to a level that drastic very quickly.
Yeah.
So you can't take away people's ability to make money. Eventually, you can't starve a man to death knowing that he's able-bodied and could go to work, and to leave them locked in the house and he can't do anything.
Yeah. Just like in Michigan, you can't take away a man's ability to jog in the park or go to the park with your daughter, play ball. You can't do that. At some point, you've got to say, this is America. You have your freedoms. That's what makes this country the greatest country on the planet.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
this pandemic you can't automatically institute authoritarianism and say you can't leave your house. That's not how it works.
Yeah, for sure. I could just straight up ask you, like, if it come to the point where you were going to lose your house, your car, your lights are already turned off and you can't feed your family, are you willing to stay locked up to protect somebody that's maybe less healthy than you, or are you ready to go to work and break the law? Like, I don't think anybody would be like, well, I gotta, do this for the greater good, and there's someone that lives on the other side of town that might get sick because of my actions. At some point, you've got to draw the line for yourself. I like the plan that we got in place now. If we can open counties that haven't had new infections, that haven't had this going on, that hasn't had new people showing up, and new infections is the biggest thing, right? So if they haven't had a new infection during the full incubation period, then if you got the sniffles, you got anything, whatever, stay at the house. If you're more susceptible, stay to the house. But if you think you can go to work, you seem to be healthy, you're in the category, there's something that you're willing to take responsibility for, then go to work. And I also think there should be some more restrictions on these places of businesses of having like hand sanitizing stations and stuff like that, right? My job, which we're all contractors there when we go to the shop. So we're actually part owners. So we all work for ourselves. We're part owners of the company. Everybody there is a part owner. So sometimes you go in there and it's like the bathroom isn't stocked. There's no soap. There's no nothing, which, full disclosure, they've been doing a lot better. But if you had a company like that that's not providing any, sanitation or ability to wash your hands or ability to do this or even separate from people, or if you're not going to be separated, have some kind of mask or face covering. Because I've worked at places where you couldn't have any type of face covering, right? Because they thought it was gang insignia or whatever their reason for it. So they've got to take a little bit more responsibility too, and you've got to take a little bit more responsibility for yourself, and you got to go to work.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and you look at a job, an occupation like mine, for instance, I've been at work this full time. I've had 3 days off since all this crap started.
Yeah, for sure. Power's got to stay on. Power generation.
Yeah, and we've got an amazing amount of hand sanitizer. And when we couldn't get hand sanitizer anymore, they have contacted distilleries who are now making high alcohol content liquor and mixing it with, propylene glycol and cutting it with this and cutting it with that, a little bit of water, and they're making their own hand sanitizer. So local distilleries are making their own hand sanitizer. We got big spray bottles out here on these job sites that are hand sanitizer. A spray bottle from a distillery. And, I guess the Porta-John companies have no shortage of antibacterial hand soap because they always have toilet paper and they always have hand soap. And if you want some toilet paper, you can cut one of those little baby locks and take some home with you.
There you go. They a local brewery was doing the same thing because here in Tennessee we got a bunch of those legal moonshine or whatever. I mean, you've been to Gatlinburg before. I know I've talked to you before. So there's all these like moonshine places and stuff. There's a few of those that have converted to making, as high alcohol content as they can physically distill, and then whatever the gelatin process is and making it so people can come together. And like you said earlier, we're not asking to open up like dine-in restaurants and salad bars where people sneeze all over the shit. But if we could get back to some manufacturing stuff, that would be great.
Yeah, restaurants and hospitality are probably going to be one of the last things that open.
Right, for sure. Like, yeah, there's other than like you're on the road right now, you need hotel rooms and stuff like that. But as far as restaurants and theaters and stuff like that, I know it sucks for those people that own those if they're small businesses and not conglomerates, but that's a risk. That's a risk reward.
I haven't seen any hotels that are closed,
right,
so far. No, and a lot of hotels. What's interesting, I don't think they can close a lot of hotels down because there's a lot of like Section 8 style housing that comes with hotels, especially under the Obama era. A lot of people moved in the hotels permanently, and it was government funded.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't think they can actually shut the hotels down in most cases because people live there and that's their physical address.
Right. Yeah. Especially if they're receiving a voucher for any type of Section 8, they're required under federal law to stay open. I've seen a couple that I don't know if they were actually closed, but no one there, right? So
yeah.
I mean, honestly, it probably costs just as much, other than the light bill, to keep it open, and hopefully somebody comes in. I don't know what the margin is on hotels, but I would assume they would want to stay open just in case somebody comes by. Hey, actually, we're driving this subject into the ground, but did you see my live interview with the protesters?
I didn't catch that one.
I didn't dress up because I figured that no one would speak to me if I went there in my hazmat suit and my gas. Which, hell, I have the gas mask here at the desk, but I figured nobody would speak to me, so I just went in street clothes and I kind of hung back for a little bit. And even when I did the interview, I tried to stay 6 foot away to follow the rules.
Yeah, you should have wore like a little hard hat with like some pool noodles that you've cut at 6 foot, like in all 4 directions to create your own barrier.
But there was actually a I guess she's running for a potential congresswoman there. I think her name was Nicole Bridget or Nicole Williams or something like that. But she was there, and she didn't want to appear on camera. Every time I tried to, the camera was in her general direction, she would put her hand up, so I didn't just blatantly put her on camera. But she did come up and talk to me. Somebody said her last name was Williams, Nicole Williams. She did come up and talk to me directly and shake my hand, but she wouldn't appear on my camera. She knew I wasn't there for the protest, but the protesters there, she was taking selfies with. It was weird that she didn't want me throwing her name out there. But
she's doing her own PR, Will. She doesn't need you to do PR for her.
Yeah, she doesn't want the PR I was about to spin on her. But
yeah.
Let me address something in the chat right quick. So it got heated or whatever with Justin. I told him to kick rocks. He didn't leave. He's not going to call my wife baby girl. Like he can eat dick for all I care. But when he says that, I mean that's not even sexually. That's derogatory. Justin, you can eat a bag full of dicks and choke on the fucking bag, but like you're not gonna call my wife baby girl and me just fucking stay here and not do nothing. Fuck you. But there was probably like 30 people there. The problem was there was a bunch of kids there. Like I know kids have this huge survivability rate or whatever, but I just wouldn't put my kids actively in a situation where they could get it, even if I knew like there's a 99.999999999% chance that they're going to survive. I mean, just to even put the illness on them or know that I subjected them to that they could have that issue. I thought that was weird.
Yeah. Now, what was the age range of some of these kids out there?
Well, I mean, the smallest one was an infant, right? So, smallest one was, I mean, being held, didn't walk, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's probably not like on the bottle or something, but he was incapable of walking. He didn't have shoes on, had a onesie. I'm really bad at like aging kids. And then a bunch of them were younger than my son, and so they were probably like 5, 6, 7 running around. I
don't know how you take your kids. Yeah, I think I would leave my kids at home somehow.
Even if he's going
then again,
to,
that at that age range, I don't understand. I don't know how you could leave your kids at home and still participate in a protest, considering there's probably no babysitters right now.
Yeah, that's the same thing I said. I would have found a family member or I would have found somebody. I just think even if you're trying to present a good face, I think it's bad PR because the kids were like running around and playing in the background, obviously not practicing any of the things that were recommended. One guy did do good. So he had his kids that he has like this Nissan like conversion van that was like a minivan, but like a square boxy minivan. He had all his kids in there, and they were watching a DVD. So I did mention something about that, I think. But the other kids that were just like running around, mixing in with the crowd, running right there beside the edge of the street. I mean, there was so many things. I was like, oh no, my kids would be somewhere else doing something else.
And they're kids too. They're gonna lick the stop signs. You know what I mean? They're gonna do kid shit.
Oh yeah, if you've seen a TikTok video, you know they're already licking toilet seats.
Oh my god! You know that girl got corona.
Yeah, I did hear that. It was a trend in Iran, man. They were licking everything, doorknobs and toilet seats and everything they could get their tongue on, man. It was weird.
Balloon knots? No balloon knots?
Uh-oh. Tongue punching the old fart box. Ain't that what Daniel Cox
says?
Bud.
Yeah.
I don't know. This stream has completely derailed, guys.
It's gone.
If you were in this for the analingus or whatever you might call that, then I guess you got your message now. Honestly, like I guess I'll give a final statement, and then Big A. Well, actually, you go first. What do you think overall on the whole thing? How do you think Trump's handled it so far? Do you believe the spin that's been put on it is accurate, or do you believe like he's doing his best, or what do you think about it?
I think all he's had to go on is the information that and he's the kind of guy that's probably going to listen to his aides. Obviously, if he surrounds himself with the brightest of minds, he's gonna kind of agree with them. So I think that he's done a pretty good job with the information that he has been given. Could we have done better? Maybe, but that's all 2020. Right. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we could have been locked down for the last couple years, right? And then that would have done a lot better. But I think he's got the information he's got. The information had a spin when he got a hold of it, especially if he was using the World Health Organization. They kicked out all our agency that we had. They did their thing. I think he's doing the best he can. I don't believe anybody's given any benefit of the doubt. They're just throwing him under the bus, and I just think that he's doing what he can when he can, and everybody else is just throwing him under the bus.
That's what they've been doing since he got elected, so it's not like it's anything new.
Yeah, for sure. Like he doesn't get a fair shake, and basically the majority of the media, even though he's trying to do what he can. Other than that, I think he's trying his best. You cut him a little bit slack. It's not a normal scenario that you're thrown into. I don't know that I would do any better if I was thrown into the exact same scenario, or anybody would. So, like Obama, he does good speeches. He does his thing. He looks presidential. He talks presidential. Would he have done better? I don't know. They're already trying to compare to how he handled swine flu.
Yeah, but it's coming out now that he may or may not have funded the place in Wuhan where the COVID was released. So
yeah, I did
tracing some Obama money back towards that. I mean, I gotta wait till that kind of percolates a little more, but
see how it pans out. But I don't know what.
Yeah.
So like I did hear that, and the first thing I thought was, Jesus, we're funding places that are making shit like this. But I also want to know like what all good they do. So are they actually doing like research to save lives and this and that and back and forth, or was it just like are they making biological weapons, or do we know they're not following any type of protocol and we're still throwing money at it, right? So they're not following adequate safety measures or whatever, and we're still just throwing money at it like a bottomless pit. I did see that.
Well, either way they're doing it.
More come out.
Either way they're doing it half a mile away from a wet market.
Yeah, and the wet markets are back open now, right?
Yeah, and if you do any kind of research into a wet market, it's the most disturbing thing on the planet. It's horrifying.
Yeah,
if you're an animal lover, it's bad.
And there's a wonder that there's not more diseases that come out of wet markets. Like it looks pretty rough for sure. But anyways, I'm just going to end the stream there. It went off the rails. I think he's doing the best with the information he's got. I hope everybody comes out of this safe and healthy, and everything's going good. But other than that, cut him a little bit of slack. I think he's trying to make the best decisions he can. Even if you think he's stupid or a bad president, he's the only guy that we got to get through this. Unless it lasts past the election and he loses, that's the guy we got. So if you get by with what you can, I guess try to make the best. But other than that, guys, this has been the Cold Beer Confessional. Thanks for joining us, Aaron. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thank you.
We see you guys Wednesday. I'll put what the conspiracy theory is in the Discord, and then send your links to show links, and we'll talk about it on Wednesday. Until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Blah, blah, blah. Bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems. I solve them. I run through the money. The pressure be calling. Left on my blessings. I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something. That's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone in the face. affection, I summon and dub it. Cause bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems, I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. A phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something? Don't hang with a nigga who lying for nothing. I see that we different, you riding, I double. I don't do discussions on bragging about hundreds. Don't go to your places, I know that they sunken. Don't call me your brother, I barely could trust it. I talked to a shorty, she bagging the bugging. And I'ma need all of my dollars on corporate, so hand me the money, I divvy the pie. I'ma give all of my people a portion to build them a fortune. I'm flipping the ride. I can't be mixy when iffy the vibe. And 40 on 50 is really the time. Why are you all on my phone like you want me? Like you wasn't pushing the kid to the side. I don't know if you bitches are thinking I'm blind. Cross on my crosses and dot on my eyes. Done with your efforts, I'm dealing with pressures. I know it's a lesson, that's word of the wise. Dubbing the mixes I'm mixing, I know I've been missing. I needed some personal time. Fuck all the pictures, dimensions. I don't with your digits, I mean it, I'm staying inside. Cause bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems, I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it. Cause bitch, I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems, I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back, tell me I'm garbage. I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone in progression, it's all that I wanted. The phone in affection, I summon and dub it.